Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our series with Max Noonan called Max on Max. And one of the things that have been coming up lately is the difference, what happens when you switch from a PC to a Macintosh. So I've asked Max to go over some of the things that you might expect to have happen with your change. So take it away, Max.
All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about one of the more interesting questions. This is one I get a lot because it really is easy to be a little bit scared when you are making the switch from a Windows PC to a Mac computer. Now, what I will say to preface this is I've had very many, probably upwards of 50 of my clients make the switch from a PC to a Mac, and exactly 0 of them have been disappointed with their switch. But I totally do understand being scared about it. So let me talk about some of the things to expect when you are making the transfer from a PC to a Mac. Now, first I'll start with the stuff that probably should put your mind at ease a little bit. Windows computers that have Windows software on them versus Mac computers that have Mac OS software on them have the same basic functionality. So they both run applications, they both store all of your files in similar places. Both of them have applications that are pretty much mirror images of each other that allow you to access those files. And there are no incompatibilities in between them except for applications that were specifically built for Windows computers versus ones that are specifically built for Mac computers. But there are very few applications that you can only run on a PC and you cannot run on a Mac. Pretty much any application that you use, whether that's Google Chrome, whether that's Microsoft Office, those are going to be able to be run on a Mac computer as well. So the main thing that's going to be a little bit shocking and maybe would be the scary part for people when they make the switch from a PC to a Mac is the user interface. And the user interface pretty much just means what the computer looks like. So if you're used to using a PC, you're probably used to having all of your applications on your desktop, but maybe some of your favorite ones down on your dock in the bottom. You're used to having a little Windows icon in the bottom left corner, and you can click on that and access your settings and stuff like that. Let me go through a couple of those differences and actually really show you how they're not big differences at all. So let's start with that little button I just talked about. If you're a Windows user, you're used to a little button that's down in your bottom left corner. It looks like the Windows icon, and from there you can access your settings, you can put your computer to sleep, and you can look at your applications. The equivalent of that button is just right up here in the top left corner on a Mac, and it looks like a little Apple logo. This is where you can get information about your computer. You can power down your computer if you want, you can log out, and you can also access your settings by pressing on System Preferences right here. So that, although you might be looking for that right when you make the switch, all you have to do is look up in the very top left corner instead of the bottom left corner. Your desktop is exactly the same. This entire area behind your dock is still your desktop, and it will stay that way. When we transfer over all of your information, even all the icons that you had on your desktop will be in the same places on the new desktop on your Mac. As far as applications go, they're primarily stored down here on your dock, and you actually have a dock on your PC as well. This one is a little bit bigger than the one that you see on your PC, so there's more room for apps if you want to put more down here. But if you're used to putting your applications on your desktop on your PC, you can do that on your computer as well. And all you have to do is really drag them. You can open up your Finder down here, which we'll talk about in a second. And all you have to do is drag out the application from your Finder and drop it onto your desktop just like that, and it'll show up. I'm not actually going to do it right now because it'll crowd up my desktop a little bit too much. Mine's already a little bit dirty, but that's all you have to do. So if you're worried about where your applications are going to be, they're either going to be down here or they're going to be on your dock, and you'll be able to access them exactly the same way as you did on your PC. As far as web browsers go, if you're a Google Chrome user, things will be exactly the same when you switch over to a Mac from a PC, because the Google Chrome application is exactly the same on both devices. You'll bring over all of your bookmarks, all of your history, all of your saved passwords, all of your websites. Those will come back, and it'll be like you are working on this exact same computer. However, if you use Microsoft Edge, which is the default browser for a PC, we'll no longer have that when we come over to a Mac. And that's because the default browser on a Mac is called Safari. It's a very similar program, but it will look a little bit different. So that's just one slight learning curve you're going to have. But let me show you what Safari looks like. It's very similar to Edge, where you just have a search bar at the top here that uses Google, just like Edge does. And you can just go through. I can help you move your bookmarks and your history over to Safari, and it should be a relatively seamless process. Now, the other advantage of switching over to a Mac is that it syncs well with all of your Apple devices, regardless of what they are, which is something that your PC can't do. So for instance, if you're viewing photos on a Mac computer, you can actually view the same photos that you view on your iPhone or iPad on your computer in real time. So those will actually sync with each other, which is a feature that you actually can't get on a PC. So viewing photos and media like that is actually better on a Mac, and it's way more seamless. It'll make more sense to you, especially if you use other Apple devices. Now, apart from that, the main difference is just the way things look. In my opinion, and this is obviously just a personal opinion, I think things look a little bit cleaner and simpler in Mac user faces than they do in Windows user faces. I like the dock down here. It's a little bit bigger. It's easier to see all of your icons. I like their system preferences a little bit better. This is what your settings look like on a Mac compared to a PC. I just find this to be a little bit more intuitive. And then the other main comparison point is the application that lets you go and access all of your files that you've moved over. On your Windows PC, this would be something called File Explorer, and it looks like a little manila folder icon down on your dock. In Mac OS, this is actually called Finder, and it looks like a little smiley face down here. Both of them look pretty similar, whether you're using File Explorer on a PC or Finder on a Mac. They'll pop up with this window, and there will be a whole bunch of different options over here. These will all be the same folders, actually. You'll see your desktop folder, your documents, your downloads, your applications. You might see your pictures folder or your music folder, depending on what you put over here in your favorites. But this is actually a little bit more intuitive, in my opinion, too, just because it gives you more ways to view your files. You can view them like little icons here. You can view them as a list of files like this. You can view them in a way that looks like this, where if you have different folders, they'll actually expand as you move from left to right. Or you could do this one, which will actually show you a preview of the image, as well as showing you which file that you have selected underneath it. So really, a long story short here is when you make the transfer from a PC to a Mac, we can move over every single file that you have. And they will all be even easier to access when you move over to the Mac computer. Everything works seamlessly. The only learning curve is learning the UI, which is the user interface. And I've never had a client take more than a week to get used to this. especially if I do the transfer with you and I can pretty much show you where everything is right off the bat. It really will feel natural to you. Now, the only other thing I'll say about it is you might have heard a rumor that Mac computers are actually a lot more secure against malware than PCs are. And while this is true, it might not be true for the reason you think it is. Most malware is designed for PC computers for the simple fact that most of the world uses PC computers. Windows computers still make up over 90% of all computers that are in use globally. So if I was a hacker and I was going to create some software that I wanted to affect the most people possible, I'm going to make it for PC computers. And so for that reason, there just is significantly less malware available circulating the internet that would affect a Mac computer. And so for that reason, Mac computers are just naturally safer. But they also do have malware protection built into them that comes from Apple. So it gets to the point where it's very, very difficult to end up with malware on your computer, especially if you're following good habits on the internet, not visiting sketchy websites, pressing download buttons that look sketchy, or pressing links that are from emails that are clearly scams. So as long as you're practicing good habits, it'll almost be impossible for you to download malware onto your Mac computer. And for that reason, they're actually way more secure, and you don't have to purchase anti-malware software like Norton or McAfee or anything like that. So it is always my recommendation to switch from a PC to a Mac. I recommend this for every single one of my clients, whether they do it or not. Everyone is always happy when they switch to a Mac. And if you guys need help, if you're considering switching to a Mac, Apple did just come out with their new suite of Mac computers that I would be more than happy to help anyone out with purchasing and getting those set up, especially if you're moving from a PC. The transfer process can be a little daunting, but I'd be happy to help you out. So if you need help with that issue or any other issues, I am home for the next 9 months, and I'd be more than happy to help you guys with anything that you are experiencing. If you do need help, feel free to reach out to me at either my personal number, which is 925-482-5488, or you can shoot me an email at max, M-A-X, at itkid.co. And I've got a lot of availability for the next couple months. So you shoot me an email a couple days in advance and I'll be able to fit you in whenever you need it. So, and of course, keep the questions coming, you guys. I love doing the series Max on Max. Love talking about these. Have been great questions so far. These are some of the more common questions that I get. So I just love recording these so you guys can go and refer back to them, whether you have this question right now or if you're going to have it in the future. I think this is going to be a great resource for you guys, and I hope we can keep doing them.
Great. Yes, we will keep doing them as long as everybody keeps needing help. And I think that's going to be a situation that's going to be with us for a while. I know I need continual help. So thanks a lot, Max. And we'll see you all again on episode 3. Thanks. Bye-bye.
All right.